So the war breaks out in 1914, the Great War, World War I. And officially we are told it is because some group called the Black Hand, some terrorist group in Serbia, assassinated the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, which is basically an alliance between Austria and Hungary that we refer to as Austria-Hungary. And Austria-Hungary got very mad. This is the official story. They got very angry that their Archduke had been assassinated and went back to Serbia and wrote this barn burner of a letter. Like, you will do the following things or it's war. And as I understand it, one of everybody's favorite characters, Winston Churchill, read this over in England and was like, oh, it's on. I mean, it's war. I mean, clearly, there's no way they're going to meet these conditions. They want war. War's coming. And Germany is over there behind its friend Austria-Hungary like, yes, we want war too. We got you. We got your back, Austria-Hungary. And the alliances went. This is the way I talk about history, just to keep it simple. I know you're way above me on this, but like, is my dumbed down version essentially correct?
No, there's a lot of truth in this. I mean, you're alluding, I assume, to the blank check. That is, the Germans give this assurance to Austria-Hungary that effectively we have your back in case Russia intervenes and we're ready to back you up to the hilt. And the blank check was certainly important. So was the assassination, and so was the Austro-Hungarian response to it. It wasn't just a pretext, though. If you actually look at the details, I'm not going to get into the details of what actually happened in Sarajevo, although I do discuss it in great detail in several of my books. What's fascinating about the dynamics surrounding it is that Franz Ferdinand, you think, okay, he's an archduke, he's the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, the Habsburg throne of Austria-Hungary. Okay, fine. So you'd think, he's not even really sovereign. He's not a politician. Why would it matter so much? But in fact, he was. He wasn't just heir to the throne. But Franz Joseph, who had been emperor since 1848, was an octogenarian, expected to die really almost any day. He was like
85.
Yeah, he was. I mean, a lot of people said
the guy,
he was staying alive despite his uncle. That's right. He was staying alive just because he didn't like his nephew. But so Franz Ferdinand was actually running military policy. He was basically running almost a shadow government out of the Belvedere. And what was significant about his assassination, aside from the kind of provocation of it, was that he himself had been blocking the war party in Vienna. Konrad von Hötzendorf, the equivalent of the more famous Moltke in Berlin, the chief of staff, effectively in charge of military planning, he had actually advocated going to war with Serbia something like 25 times in 1913 alone, and Franz Ferdinand had blocked him every single time. In addition to this, Kaiser Wilhelm II...
So wait, let me just stop you. Because I want to keep it nice and simple for our listeners who are not experts. So what you're saying is, I mean, the average person would say, well, why would Serbia assassinate that guy if that's the guy who's stopping the war? But the question is, well, did this Serbian terrorist group have an interest in stopping the war? It certainly sounds like maybe not. And did Serbia itself have an interest in stopping the war? Because there's a real question about whether this terrorist group was the only one behind it or whether Serbia was actually itself behind the assassination.
Well, I don't think the terrorists were necessarily pacifists. On the other hand, the people backing them, some of them may well have wanted the war. If you actually look at the organizer of the Black Hand, Colonel Dragutin Dmitrievich, his codename was Apis, a little simpler to call him Apis. He was actually the head of Serbian military intelligence. Now, he himself was not necessarily in cahoots with the prime minister of Serbia, but the hardliners definitely wanted war. They thought they might actually win, and they were not averse to provoking Austria-Hungary. So a lot of people overlook Serbia in 1914, but in fact, we have very clear evidence that the Serbian government, at least some rogue elements of the Serbian government, were complicit in the plot, and that the Serbian prime minister refused to renounce the plot or to warn Austria-Hungary about it. And later on, that Russia gave effectively her own version of a kind of what we might call a blank check to Serbia. That is to say, we will back you, so you can go ahead and reject the ultimatum. So the Russians also played a big role.
If we zoom out on this region at the time, because I think some of our audience may be like, well, why are they fighting to begin with? Like, why would there be these provocations? I mean, as I understand it, you got a situation here at the beginning of the turn of the century there, where they're kind of like the Ottoman Empire is weaker and Austria-Hungary is weaker, and they're kind of looking at the same territory. All these countries like Russia and Serbia and Germany and Austria-Hungary, they're all kind of looking at these countries in this region like, well, maybe I would like to take over some of that space, that the Ottoman Empire used to encompass. Maybe I would. Maybe. So everyone's getting like a little provocative. And then the Serbians really poked the bear by this assassination, and then it's on.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Ottomans, Megyn, because in fact, I've been trying to popularize the idea of the First World War as the War of the Ottoman Succession. This is in kind of homage to all those famous wars of the Austrian or Spanish or English succession dating back to early modern history. That really is, to me, kind of what is centrally at issue. That is to say, the decline of Ottoman power, particularly in Ottoman Europe. And then by the end of the war, of course, you have the great powers squabbling over the inheritance of the Ottoman Empire, with the Entente powers, Russia, France, and Britain, all staking their claims. It's not quite as simple as just to say that everyone went to war in 1914 to try to carve up the Ottoman Empire. In fact, the Germans and the Austro-Hungarians ended up taking the side of the Ottomans, effectively to try to defend them against the predations of the other powers. It's a little bit like what people say about slavery and the Civil War, that you can't exactly say that the war broke out in 1861 specifically because of slavery, but everyone knew that it was somehow the cause of the war. In the same way you could say that the decline of Ottoman power is somehow the cause of World War I. The precise sequence of events was not necessarily predetermined. Some of it was quite contingent and even accidental, like the assassination, but the clash of interest was real. That is to say that the Russians, the Austrians,
the neighborhood was getting a little bit more, it was getting more complicated, and people were starting to get a little bit more territorial. It's the final days for the Christmas and holiday season sale from Genucel, everyone. Listen up. I love this company, and you will too. From now through Christmas, Genucel's most popular package. I love this. They've idiot-proofed it. They've given you all their best stuff. Everything that people love most. So if you're like, I don't know what to get, I don't know what the products are, just get the most popular package. It's right now 70% off at Genucel.com/MK60. Treat yourself and a loved one to the absolute best skincare in the world. See those troubling forehead lines, or the fine lines, or the skin redness, or the pesky bags and puffiness, and even a sagging jawline disappear right before your eyes with Genucel's most popular collection. With its immediate effects product, you see results in less than 12 hours, guaranteed, or you get your money back. And included in every one of their most popular packages is your free hyaluronic acid serum for skin hydration that's going to restore and rejuvenate. I think it resurfaces your youthful appearance. You will feel a difference after you use this stuff. Visit Genucel.com/MK60 now. Enter my special code MK for an additional 10% off your entire order when you check out. Got the 70, got the 10, got the hyaluronic. Every order today is instantly upgraded to free express shipping, guaranteed delivery by Christmas. Don't wait. Genucel.com/MK60. GENUCEL.com/MK60. This is a very thoughtful gift. Genucel.com/MK60. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.